On behalf of Sahmat, welcome to this 7th lecture in the Sahmat Gandhi lecture series, to be given by Professor Akeel Bilgrami. Just a short introduction, not that he needs an introduction to an audience to a Sahmat lecture, but Professor Akeel Bilgrami is Sidney Morgan Besser Professor of Philosophy at Columbia University, New York. He was director of the Heyman Center for the Humanities at Columbia from 2004 to 2011, and director of the South Asian Institute at Columbia again from 2013 to 2016. Among his publications are Secularism, Identity and Enchantment, Essays on the Moral Psychology of Politics, published in 2014, and he has a forthcoming monograph on Gandhi the philosopher. He's also editor of a volume of essays titled Marx, Gandhi and Modernity, which was a tribute volume to Javed Alam. This evening, the chairperson is Professor Prabhat Patnaik. Prabhat, please. Again, no stranger to this audience. In fact, he has already given a lecture in the Gandhi lecture series. Very short line to introduce him. He is Professor Emeritus, Center for Economic Studies at Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. Just a couple of announcements before I hand over the mic to the chair. 1st January, as all of you know, is the Safdar Hashmi Memorial that Sahmat celebrates every year, annually. And this 2019, it will be the 30th Safdar Hashmi Memorial. So this is to request and invite all of you to come to the Safdar Hashmi Memorial, which will take place at the Constitution Club at Rafi Marg. We have invitation cards outside, so if you want to remember the details, please do pick up a card. At Constitution Club from 1 p.m. onwards, it goes on till late evening. And the next lecture in the series will be on 5th January, after our 1st January celebrations, at the same place, India Habitat Center, Gulmohar Hall. This lecture will be given by Kumkum Sangari. Thank you. Over to you, Prabhat.
Friends, it's wonderful to have amongst us Akeel Bilgrami, the Sidney Morgan Besser Professor at Columbia University, and a close and for a very long period, a friend of Sahmat. Akeel, as many of you would know, has been developing for some time now a left critique of liberalism, which is both novel as well as wide-ranging. A lot of the things which he has published, whether it is on the alternative Renaissance, whether it is on alienation, whether it's on early Marx, are really work which more or less add up to this theme of developing a fairly comprehensive and novel left critique of liberalism. And in a sense, his work on Gandhi really falls into that kind of a pattern. He sees Gandhi as belonging to a tradition, or locates Gandhi within a tradition which stretches from Gerard Winstanley, the communist thinker in the English Revolution, the period of the English Revolution, to early Marx, to Rosa Luxemburg, and so on. So that, you know, it's really a long tradition in which he locates Gandhi. And you can see that actually that way of reading Gandhi runs contrary both to the traditional Marxist reading of Gandhi, of which E.M.S. Namboodiripad, the Mahatma and the Ism, is the classic exposition, as well as some of the writings on Gandhi that you find these days in progressive Dalit writings and so on. So Akeel has been, along with a few others, including Irfan Sahib and others who gave the first lecture in this series, part of a certain tradition of looking at Gandhi from the left, which is quite different from the other ways that Gandhi has been looked at, which are, if you like, at the moment, the more dominant ways within the left. So it's with great pleasure that I really invite Akeel to give this lecture and to provide an exposition of how he sees Gandhi within this tradition. Akeel.
There is a great and natural tendency to think that Hind Swaraj represents the reactionary Gandhi who opposed modernity, a position from which he slowly backpedaled over the next few decades as he allowed the experience of the long anti-colonial struggle he led to educate him towards more progressive ideas and ideals. I said this is a natural reading of Gandhi, but it's not a reading that shows much sympathy for or comprehension of his deepest intellectual and political motives. It is a reading which, from the very outset, rules out the possibility that one might interpret his anti-modernism as itself being progressive. It might seem that there's something startling, something almost paradoxical about using the word progressive as I just have in that last sentence. After all, the whole point of the contrast between reactionary and progressive derives from an ideal of progress in which the past is overcome in one's modernity, and to hark back to it would be reaction, while to embrace one's modernity is to be progressive. How then can a stance of anti-modernity be said to be progressive without paradox? But this seeming paradox is amicably resolved if I replaced all occurrences of the word progressive in what I've said so far with the word radical. I don't mean radical in the very general sense of vehement repudiation of conventional thinking. Even fascism is radical in that highly general sense. I mean rather radical in the quite usual specific sense that left-wing commentary intends to self-describe its own conception of politics, but which it often then muddles by equating that politics with what it describes as progressive politics, thereby ruling out from the outset, as I said, that one can be both anti-modernist and radical in this more specific sense that the left aspires to be. So to put it in a word, I'm asking, is there a left-wing or radical Gandhi in the anti-modern Gandhi?